Hi everyone, spring is only a few weeks away here in the UK, so today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a walkthrough through my collection, a kind of a pre-spring checkup. So this is my Ficus alii, and this one's doing really well. It hasn't been dropping too many leaves. Sometimes ficus can be a little bit dramatic like that, but it's putting out some new growth too, so it seems happy. I've made sure not to move this one around too much. As I say, ficus plants tend to get a bit miserable if you move them around, but it seems to be putting out new growth, and yeah, it's looking really good. So I'm really happy to have this one in my collection, I have to say. And then this is my bunny ears cactus, and this one is just absolutely loving life. To be honest with you, this one's probably one of my easiest plants to care for. You can see it's got lots of new little growth points. They kind of start out as little tiny bumps and then they gradually grow, and I think it's really cute how they do that. Usually you'll get these tiny little ones coming off the larger ones, and then they just kind of keep growing. And this is my Thaumatophyllum, and I think, fingers crossed and touch wood, this one is out of the woods. It did have a root rot problem, but it seems to be really thriving now, and as you can see there's new growth coming out. They are quite small, the new leaves, but at least it's growing, and it seems like the root rot problem is behind me. So going into spring, hopefully this one will, have a glow up. I'm hoping so, because it's one of my favourite plants. And just look at those leaves. How could you not love this one? I just absolutely love it. This is my Philodendron Jose Bueno, and it's looking absolutely brilliant. It's very healthy. This one here is the newest leaf. It's almost hardened up, and it's just got some beautiful variegation. It's almost like a kind of a galaxy on this one, I find. And I just really love how all the leaves are so different. And I'll show you here, it is actually working on its next leaf too. You can see a kind of burgeoning bump there. So I'm really excited to see what the variegation will be like, because as I say, you just don't really know with this plant. It tends to put out all sorts of different leaves, and that's part of the excitement. So I really love the shape of the leaves with this one too, and the way the variegation kind of complements the shape of the leaves. I just think it's a stunning plant, and so far very unfussy as well, very easy to care for. And then this is my Cebu Blue, and this one does really need a pole extension, but if I just bring you around, the problem I've got is this very heavy vine is kind of on the top there where the hole would be, so I'm a little bit worried that if I move it, it might break, so we'll see. But we do have some new growth points. We've got new leaves coming in, as you can see, on the end of each vine. But I would really like to get it on an extension just to try and kind of maintain the maturity, but I'm just terrified of breaking it, because that's basically what I did with my last one. I tried to extend it and I accidentally broke it, so I'm a little bit terrified. And then my Marble Queen Epipremnum is doing really well. This one also needs an extension. It's literally just got to the top of its pole. I'm not sure if I might have overwatered this one a bit. I'm slightly concerned. I've been seeing a little bit of yellowing, but I'm just hoping that it will be okay. And it is still putting out new growth, so I think it's all right, but it should be pretty easy to give this one an extension. I'll just have to stick a new pole there in the top, and then just encourage it to stick to the pole. But yeah, it seems to be doing okay, and it definitely made a lot of progress last spring, so I'm thinking this year with the grow lights it might grow even more, so I'm pretty excited. And again, this is one that I just really love the variegation on. It brings me a lot of pleasure to grow this plant. Not sure if I'm going to propagate it this year yet. Maybe I might use my smaller plant and propagate from that one instead, and just let this one grow. And then over here on my plant shelf, this is my Peperomia Hope, and you can see quite clearly now the new growth coming out there. Aren't they cute? It's like tiny little hands, and yeah, I will eventually see those turn into bigger leaves, but I just think it's adorable. But the fact that I've kept it alive and kind of cracked the code of looking after peperonias is really great as well, so I'm really happy with that. And then over here, this is one of my Tradescantias. This one was very small when I got it. It's still fairly small, but it seems to be really thriving and enjoying being under the grow light. I'm just making sure that I keep an eye, you know, when it needs watering, and don't let it dry out too much because they are prone to crisping. And then over here I've got my Syngonium albo, just looking gorgeous there, still quite compact at the moment, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that glow up when it starts to vine and I get it on a pole. Really excited about that, I have to say. And then next to it is another of my favourite Syngoniums. This is my pink Syngonium, I believe Syngonium Neon Robusta. This one's doing really well too. I think this might be a new leaf here. They kind of start off more of a shiny, crinkly, and then they kind of get bigger. But yeah, I've just always loved this one and really happy to see it thriving. And then kind of underneath it here, if I just push that out of the way, you can see my string of hearts. Again, this one's really thriving too. The care for this one is really simple. I keep it so simple. I just let it dry out before I water it. You can see that it's got lots of new growth and it's growing right down to the floor. Yeah, I just let it dry out basically and make sure it gets plenty of bright indirect light. And that's it really. It's obviously in a well draining potting mix as well. Yeah, and it's happy. So this is my Ripsalis, and again, this is one of my favourite plants. I just love to see this one kind of cascading from the shelf. It's so beautiful. It has a really cool structure that I love, and yeah, the leaves kind of grow out of one another as well. You can see a little one there starting. They start out kind of light green and then they grow out a bit. But yeah, I just love having this plant in my collection. It's definitely one of my all-time faves at the moment. And then this is my Philodendron Fun Bun, and yeah, this one's quite a fun plant. I do love this one. I'm going to take it off the shelf for you so I can show it you properly, because it does have quite kind of long leaves. And this one again is doing pretty well. It hasn't really grown a huge amount yet, but that's okay. It seems to be fairly healthy, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing what this one does over spring. This will be my first growing season with this plant, so I am quite excited to see what it does. I wonder if it will mature or start reverting, as some of my plants do. Sometimes they revert back to their juvenile form. Sometimes it seems like it doesn't matter how much light you give them. I don't know what it is, maybe it's humidity, but I just accept it as it is. But I just think this is a really cool, fun plant. This is the newest leaf here. You can see it's kind of still quite floppy and a little bit lighter, but I just think it's so fun how these come out. And yeah, just checking for pests too. It's always worth having a good check for pests. I've actually seem to have got on top of the spider mites at the moment, so that's good. Haven't seen one for ages, and you can see there's a new leaf coming through, so that's exciting. Can't wait to see that coming through. This leaf here though does have something a little bit funky going on. This is the only one. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe it was edema or a fungal issue. I'm not really sure. It only seems to be on this leaf. A little bit confused. I'm thinking either, like I say, edema, fungal issue, or I don't think it's pests, because I mean, I've checked this one a lot and I can't see any, but you know, it is what it is. And then this is one of my Tradescantias, the Tradescantia quadricolor. It's going pretty nuts actually over here, and it's having a good growing session. It seems to be flowering quite freely as well. It's only got these kind of small little rather unimpressive flowers, but they're kind of cute and they kind of add to the kind of look of the plant. it seems to be really loving it here. It does have some grow lights and it's growing into my shelf as well here as well. Yeah, just remove that yellow leaf there. But yeah, it seems to be really easy to look after, this one. I just make sure that I don't let it dry out too much, because as I said before, Tradescantias can get quite crispy if you let them dry out too much. I don't keep the soil wet, of course, just moist. I let the top dry out a little bit and then I'll water, but it seems to really be thriving, and yeah, I'm really happy with how this one's growing. And then over here on my shelf, two of my favourite philodendrons. We shall start with the Philodendron Florida Green. I'm just going to pull it out so I can show you properly. It does actually have a new leaf on the way. Woohoo, that new leaf feeling. I just love that new leaf feeling. Really excited. The newest one hasn't properly hardened off yet, and it's already got this new one coming in. So I'm pretty excited about that. Again, this one seems really low maintenance. I definitely highly recommend this one if you like plants that are low maintenance and you like something that's a little bit more interesting. This one's kind of got those red stems and the kind of weird shaped leaves. I just love it. I think it's a really cool plant, and yeah, I think I will just move this over and let's have a look at Philodendron Atabapoense Santa Leopoldina. Bit of a mouthful there for the name. This is one of those philodendrons with these lovely elongated leaves that I am just loving. You can see this new leaf here. It's a different colour to the others, and yeah, there's a new leaf going on in there, of course, growing, but it hasn't quite got there yet. We'll give it some time to kind of grow in there before it pops out, but I'm just loving this one. I can't wait until it gets to the point where I can think about giving it something to climb, because yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this one mature over the months and comparing its growth as well when we get to the end of the growing season. I just love these philodendrons. This Florida Green is definitely one of my all-time favourites. I'm so happy that I got this one. I love it. I think also probably grows a bit faster than the Florida Ghost, because the Florida Ghost starts out with white leaves, so that's why I decided to go for the green one. I could be wrong, of course. If you have a Florida Ghost, feel free to let me know in the comments if it's just as fast to grow. And then this is one of my favourite snake plants. These baby leaves, I call them baby leaves, they've actually got quite a bit bigger. Yeah, they're growing really nicely. It's easier to see the kind of the moonshine shine, if I can call it that, when they're young, but you can see there's new growth coming out the centre too. But this one is just so cool. I could just stare at it all day. Its structure, the colour of its leaves, it really is a fun plant, and yeah, it grows very nicely. My Monstera Adansonii, okay, this one's had a few problems. I think I overwatered because of spider mites. I had been spraying it, and yeah, I think I accidentally overwatered as a result. So I did have to repot it and take out one of the vines that was rotting. It was just one vine, and I planted the rest back. The rest seem to be doing okay, and I've just been kind of keeping an eye on it, but I'm just hoping and praying that it makes it. But I did take out the extension pole that I had on this one so I could detach that rotting vine, and I haven't put another one on yet. I've just left it as it is, just keeping an eye on it really and hoping for the best, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, hopefully it will make it. I mean, I might do a little bit of propagating just in case. It's quite an easy plant to propagate. Now, this is my Philodendron Silver Sword, and I just absolutely love this one. This leaf here is an example of what we are aiming for. This is the shape we would like. This is what I am getting. These little ones, they seem to be getting smaller and smaller, and I'm a little confused because I feel like I'm giving it everything it needs. It's got light, it's got consistent watering. I guess the only things it doesn't have is humidity and a moss pole, so presumably it might be that. It did have pests last year, so that could have set it back, but either way, to be honest with you, I'm just happy to accept it as it is, and I think it's still a beautiful plant and I love it, so that's fine. And over here is my rubber plant, the Ficus Belize variety, the ruby one. And if I just turn this round, you can see it has popped out a new leaf. Again, this is a very small leaf, and I'm not sure what to do. Do I chop this in order to get it to branch, or do I just leave it as it is? Because I almost don't want to chop it because it's so beautiful as it is. But then I also know that if I chop it, it will branch out. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do. I just can't decide. I think I might probably not regret it if I chop it, but I just can't decide. So over here is my black pagoda lipstick plant. This one's doing really well. I've been trying to be more consistent with the watering with this one because it does tend to dry out faster than you think it would. And so yeah, I've just been making sure I'm a bit more consistent so that it doesn't get quite as many crispy leaves, and that tactic does seem to be working because I've definitely noticed fewer crispy leaves. So, and we're getting these nice bright coloured leaves too growing in new growth. Next to it we've got my neon pothos, and you can see this one is growing nicely. It's growing very long. This was a plant that I only had for not very long. I got it at the end of kind of summer last year, and it's already grown huge. So I'm not sure again whether I'll propagate this one or just let it go wild. We'll see. And then next to it I have one of my Philodendron Brazils. This one is a fairly recent purchase, so I bought another one because I love this plant so much, and this is much bigger than the other one I have, but you can't ever have too many of these. I think they're such a beautiful, elegant plant. And you can see here there's some lovely new growth coming in. It's definitely waking up for spring, and yeah, I just love this plant. It's gorgeous. Those leaves, the shape, the colour, everything about it is pretty much perfect in my opinion. And then up here is my Dracaena fernwood, growing really nicely, no complaints there, a really easy plant. And then this is my Tradescantia Nanook, and I've got this one kind of, it doesn't have a place at the moment because it's waiting for a repot. I was supposed to do it today and I did not, but you can see that it's got roots coming out of there. I'm going to give it a little bit of an upgrade. It's on my repotting list, so it does have a little bit of browning here, which is annoying. I'm not sure whether that's the water, the fertilizer, what is it, I don't know. I'll work it out eventually, or maybe it's just Tradescantia. You know, sometimes they do that, I guess. But the pot that I plan on using is this one here. It has a hole in the bottom and a tray, and I thought this was quite complementary to this plant. So I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to pot it straight in there or I might just use a plastic pot, but I thought that would look quite nice, so I've kind of planned ahead a bit there. And this is Syngonium Mojito. Again, another one that I worried a little bit I may have overwatered due to spider mite treatments. Yeah, that's definitely a mistake I've learned from this winter. Don't, well, be more careful is what I'm telling myself when you treat for spider mites, because you know it can cause overwatering or the spraying if it gets in the soil. So that's a huge lesson that I've personally learned this year. So I will definitely be going forward having learned to be a bit more careful. But this one did have spider mites. I haven't seen any for a while. I do keep checking, but I'm getting a little bit of browning and yellowing here and there. Nothing too major, so I'm hoping it's not a problem, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully it will be okay. And then this is my Philodendron Billietier, and actually this one randomly just leaves started falling off, even the new growth, and it was rotting, so I took it out of the pot, repotted it. You can see a leaf is all fallen off there as well again, and I'm just hoping for the best now. So yeah, we'll see. Over here is my Philodendron Prince of Orange, doing really well. just looking really healthy, putting out a new leaf. I don't worry about this one a great deal. I did see one spider mite on it in winter, one singular spider mite. I gave it a good clean and I've never seen them again, so I don't know. Over here, this is my whale fin snake plant. No signs of new growth yet. Usually I get a new leaf, but we'll see what happens. Maybe it will put out a new one this year. So this is my Scindapsus exotica, and you can see this one's suffering from edema. Edema is when there's too much water and that I believe the cells burst in the plant. You can see it a little bit more easily here because you've got a patch there that's got it, but I don't know if this is a plant that's prone to it, or maybe I had it in the wrong spot. I've moved it into a different spot because I was worried that maybe I had it in the wrong spot, but we'll see what happens. It's one of those things that plants get sometimes, and it still seems to be growing though. If I can wrestle that leaf out there, I can show you there is some new growth, so I don't think it will be a game changer. And my Dieffenbachia is doing really well too. This is another one that was being a bit dramatic. I find personally, and this could be different for everyone, but from my personal experience, my Dieffenbachia doesn't seem to like to dry out. It gets a bit tantrumy if I do, so I've learned to kind of keep it consistently moist, so that seems to keep it happy. And then over here, this is my Cebu Blue that I had to chop up because of root rot. My old one. I bought a new one and I chopped it up, and these are the bits and bobs that I put in soil, and you can see there are new growth points coming out and they are growing new leaves. I did have these in my heated propagators for a while, but they eventually got too big for it. This one over here does actually still have some leaves on it. A lot of the leaves just fell off, but this one has retained a few. And then this is the only alocasia I can ever keep alive, my Alocasia zebrina. Don't ask me why I can keep this one alive and not the others. Maybe it's the easiest one, but for me it seems happy. I mean, don't get me wrong, it did lose a load of leaves this year, but it still has 4 healthy leaves, and that's better than my other Alocasia is doing. No sign of new ones yet, but they will come at some point when it warms up. This is my umbrella plant that I am always pleased with. I'm going to take you in here to the top where it's growing, and you can see it's actually starting to just branch out. It's got lots of different branches coming, and I had kind of planned to propagate this year to get it to branch out, but it looks like it's doing it of its own accord, so I'm wondering whether I'll just leave it. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what nature will do. It is growing pretty prolifically though, and I'm anticipating a repot possibly again, even though it's already in a big pot. Over here, this is my little rescue table here. This is my Philodendron painted lady. Now, I had to repot this one because it was going downhill. I wanted to see what was happening. Turned out it had one of those plug nets on it. Yeah. Another Cebu Blue here. And then also, sadly, my purple passion plant started going downhill. I don't know what was wrong with it. So I chopped it up to propagate it. Just to make sure I could save it, really, because I didn't know what was happening. And lucky for me, it is rooting, so it'll be fine. But yeah, I don't know what happened with that, but sometimes you just got to start again when something starts to decline. And then over here is a little Hoya Bella that I was given, very kindly given, and I recently potted this up into some soil, and I believe it's starting to give out some little flowers, I think. I'm not quite sure, but I think it is, and it's such a new plant, so that's kind of exciting. And then over here, this is my Monstera Adansonii mint, and this one's growing so nicely. I did have this one in the heated propagator too, but it got too big, and so now it's here. It's usually got a grow light over it, but this leaf here on this one cutting, you can see grew out a bit funky. Not really sure why that is, but the others are growing through just great. The original leaves have died off now, as we'd expect, and we've got lots of new lovely growth, so yeah, I'm really pleased with that. This leaf is so gorgeous. This is my brand new Epipremnum aureum that I bought recently. This is the spot that I bought it for, because this is like a dark spot in my living room. The leaves haven't quite adjusted yet to the right direction, so bear with it, but yeah, this is where I wanted it to go, and it seems happy there so far. And yeah, hopefully it will start to turn its leaves the right way round. And then over here, a couple more root rot victims. We have Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. This one also rotted, and so we've just got it here in some water so that it can regrow. And then another victim of root rot, it is my Raven ZZ, and yeah, I think that might have been another spider mite treatment victim. Yeah, my bad, I've definitely learned from that mistake. So this is my new Syngonium, the pink one that I bought recently, and yes, it turned out to have thrips, and not just juvenile thrips but fully adult thrips. So I have sprayed it with systemic, and it's due for another spray after 10 days. So I've just got it here where it's not too close to my other plants, but I'm not sure if I can show you any. I'll try and get close to some of the backs of the leaves. Hopefully most of them have kind of dried up by now. You can see here how this new leaf has come through deformed. That is something that thrips do tend to cause, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes these things happen. I'm not going to worry about it. I shall just treat it and hope for the best. But it's the first time I've seen black adult thrips, though. I've never had them before, so yeah, I've seen something new and I'm getting an education, so hopefully this will bounce back. It still looks very nice. It has a little bit of damage here and there, but... And then another of my hero plants, this is my Easter cactus. It's not quite in flower yet, but it will be in flower probably sometime over the next few months. But this one's just so cool and easy, and I absolutely love it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.